Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your host for this evening's Business and Finance Awards, Claire Byrne.
Hello everyone. Díomh agus céad míle fáilte roimh don mór ócáid seo. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all very welcome to the 2018 Business and Finance Awards in association with KPMG. I'm delighted to be here with you again tonight to celebrate the best of Irish business. Business and finance has, for the past 6 decades, been at the heart of business in Ireland, celebrating the wins, profiling those at the highest level of business and always promoting Irish business, both at home and indeed abroad. As part of their commitment to Irish business, Business and Finance curates a number of indices which form a key part of our night tonight. Now, all 3 of those indices are an important part both of the night, and they're all featured and are awards, and they're featured in Business and Finance December edition of the magazine, which you'll find at your table. That's the quarterly review. So do take a second to check it out. We know that many of the people in this room will be featured in there. Now, moving on, I'd like to speak very briefly about another great initiative created and facilitated by Business and Finance. That's Business for Good. Business for Good is a unique collaboration between businesses and charities, where businesses can engage with charities and social enterprises across business and finance platforms. So tonight, we'd like to thank the corporate partners, KPMG, Facebook, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Magnet Networks, and Principal Strategies, who've partnered with Haven, UNICEF, Camara Education Ireland, Aware, Special Olympics Ireland, Concern, Pieta House, Trinity Centre for People with Intellectual Disabilities, and the Early Learning Initiative. In addition to our main sponsor tonight, KPMG, I'd also like to thank our sponsors of the evening, who are key supporters of business and finance across the year, not just tonight. So many thanks to Jaguar, HSBC, Brightwater Executive, the IDA, Magnet Networks, Enterprise Ireland, IBEC, and the Irish Post. An evening such as tonight could not take place without such a strong commitment from such important partners. Now, before we kick off the celebrations and what's going to be a really exciting and important evening for the numerous people and businesses being recognised tonight, can I just ask that during the formal parts, and you were great at this last year, could you make sure to maintain a respectful hush, kind of like you are now would be great, both for the people who are being honoured and indeed for myself. And don't worry, there'll be plenty of time throughout the evening to have the Christmas chats and network and gossip and all of that. So I'd be really grateful if you could do that for me. So now, accompanied by Ian Hyland, who, as you know, is President and Publisher of Business and Finance Media Group, Sean Murphy, Managing Partner KPMG, Paul Connolly, who's Chairman of Business and Finance Media Group, and Tánaiste Simon Coveney. Will you please be upstanding for tonight's honorees as they come into the room? Former President of Ireland, Mary McAleese. Former President of the European Commission, José Manuel Barroso, and Irish Rugby Head Coach, Joe Schmidt. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we're incredibly fortunate to be joined by our honorees tonight, and it is our honour to recognise your outstanding contributions to Ireland, to Irish business, and to Ireland Inc. So we're moving ahead now with the first part of the evening, and as we do, please tuck into your starter if you haven't done so already. The people over here, they've eaten it already, so you have permission to go. To get us started, I'd like to invite Ian Hyland, President and Publisher of Business and Finance Media Group, to the stage to have a chat with us as we get started. Ian Hyland, ladies and gentlemen. Take your time, Ian. It's all yours.
Thank you, Claire. Sorry to keep you all waiting. And you may have noticed that Taoiseach was always sitting down when he was announced in, because the Taoiseach is always ahead of the game, as you know. Good evening, everybody, and please eat your starters, as Claire mentioned. Taoiseach, ministers, excellencies, members of government, nominees, honorees, and indeed thank you, Claire Byrne, for joining us this year as we celebrate the 44th Business and Finance Awards in association with our partners, KPMG. You're all very welcome indeed. I want to welcome Sean Murphy, Managing Partner, and the entire KPMG partner team and their clients tonight. We are delighted to work with KPMG across these awards and indeed Ireland Inc. In the US. I'd like to welcome our partners Jaguar, HSBC, Brightwater Executive, Magnet Networks, IBEC, our global Irish partner, the Irish Post, and also I'd like to welcome the IDA and Enterprise Ireland, without whom this event genuinely would not be possible. Maybe we could show our appreciation to all of our partners. Thank you so much. Tonight is a very special occasion, and I particularly want to welcome three special individuals. Claire introduced the room. The recipient of the 2018 T.K. Whitaker Award, former President of Ireland, Mary McAleese. Can I also welcome Martin McAleese and Sarah McAleese, who's joined us this evening. You're all very welcome indeed. The recipient of the inaugural Sutherland Leadership Award, former President of the European Commission and former Prime Minister of Portugal, José Manuel Barroso. And it is a particular honour for all of us for so many different reasons, and a very special welcome to another honorary Irishman, our recipient for our outstanding contribution to Ireland Award, Joe Smith. It's a big night for recognition in Irish business, and I wanted to mention and welcome all of the honorees across our CEO 100, our Business and Finance 100 companies, and indeed the Ireland Inc. UX Index honorees. You're all very welcome, and congratulations on an outstanding year and your many, many achievements. Thank you for joining us this evening. I would like to also thank our judging panel, and I'll reference, I know Sean mentioned later on, our chair of our judging panel, Professor Francis Rowan, who's been a magnificent support to this programme over many years and keeps us on the straight and narrow. Please show our appreciation for Francis and indeed the judging panel. I'd also like to thank the UCD Michael Smurfit School of Business, who have partnered us in the adjudication process. I'd like to welcome Geraldine Doyle, who's the Associate Dean of Smurfit UCD. I'd like to particularly welcome a great supporter of this award programme and a former honoree, outgoing chairman of the Smurfit Business School, Niall Fitzgerald, and incoming chairman of the Smurfit Business School, Liam Fitzgerald. Can I assure you they're only related in the context of their values of leadership, not by blood, so I understand. You're very welcome indeed, and thank you for your support. Also, I'd like to mention the other universities in the room this evening. University of Limerick, Trinity College, DCU and UCC, who this award programme have had a super relationship with over the years. You're all very welcome. It is really fantastic to see so many familiar faces and indeed some new faces as we celebrate the success of Irish businesses and the dynamic teams behind them. And given the legacy and importance of this award programme over the last 44 years, I'm delighted to see so many of our previous honorees are with us this evening. And I want to mention a couple if I could. I mentioned Niall, Arthur Ryan, Dennis O'Brien, Paul Marchant, Anne Herity, Donald Slattery, Gary McGann, Susan Whelan, John Maloney, Liam O'Mahony, and I know there are many more. You're all very welcome back to the gala dinner this evening, gentlemen and ladies. Indeed. In building the successful business community that Ireland Inc. is, I want to recognise the critical role played by government and our key state agencies. In this regard, I would like to welcome Julie Cinnamon, CEO of Enterprise Ireland, also Kevin Sherry of Enterprise Ireland, Martin Shanahan, the Chief Executive of IDA, and indeed, can I mention Taoiseach Simon Coveney, Minister Heather Humphreys, Minister Michael Darcy, and many government representatives here this evening for a support of the business community, particularly in such a tricky year for all of the reasons we're all aware. You're all very welcome to the room. I would like to mention very warmly the British Ambassador to Ireland, Robin Barnett, and given the challenges of Brexit, it is wonderful for you to join us, Ambassador, in the spirit of our partnership with the United Kingdom. You're very welcome here this evening. In addition, I'm also delighted to welcome the US Embassy Charge d'Affaires Reece Smith, who we've worked closely with promoting the United States to Irish business and Irish business to the United States across our Ireland Inc. US index. I want to compliment Reece with regard to their Select USA programme and indeed thank them for their partnership of Ireland on a number of different levels. Reece, you're very welcome. As I come to conclusion, I wanted to mention something that Claire mentioned in more detail, which is Business for Good. This is not a fundraiser event, but as we all know, business can be a tough world at times. However, no matter how successful we all are, at the end of the day, we will be judged not by how much we take off the table, but how much we put on the table of others. And this evening, we have a number of Business for Good partners with us. I particularly want to mention Haven, founded by Leslie and Carmel Buckley. It is their 10th anniversary, established in 2009, a year before the awful earthquake that devastated Haiti and the people of Haiti. And I want to compliment Leslie and Carmel of what they've done in a very personal capacity across Haven and congratulate them on their 10th anniversary. Haven now, of course, not only sets out to rescue, but also provides the people of Haiti with the tools to help themselves. And I think they need to be complimented on that. Thank you very much indeed, Leslie. Two more mentions, if I could, in that respect. UNICEF are very important to us. My business partner and chairman, Paul Connolly, is chairman of UNICEF, and Peter Power is executive director in Ireland to do some outstanding work. They are a great example of how to build a bridge between the business community and not-for-profits or social enterprise. And I want to commend particularly Primark and Aer Lingus for their partnership with UNICEF and the net effect of that magnificent fusion. Congratulations to all of you. Really fantastic. And it wouldn't be complete without the arts. And I do need to say this. Our chairman, Francis Roman, is chairman of the Abbey Theatre, and they're doing some wonderful work. And I just want to mention that. I think it's very important. I want to commend Avalon and Aviva for the support, particularly of the Abbey. And we look forward to a very exciting year of the next chapter. Francis, many congratulations and best wishes on your journey next year. So, as we come to the start of another Business and Finance Awards and the end, as it were, of an interesting year, how do you judge 2018? Maybe Charles Dickens was correct when he said it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. But evenings like this present an opportunity to reflect on where we've come from, where we are, and where we are going. And as 2018 draws to a close, tonight we look back on great journeys, on roads less travelled, and roads we wish we had or hadn't taken. But amidst all the highs and the lows, this awards programme has been there every step of the way. Thank you.
I'm truly honoured to receive this award from Business and Finance tonight, and I really do so with quite a sense of humility, because I'm only one of so many who work so hard.
Bless you, Ken Whittaker, for your life, for your example, and for your contribution to our country.
Ireland is the only country in the world where every single day some Irish citizen has been on the soil of another country, serving humanity to keep something bad from happening or to make something good happen.
It is a pleasure to join you this evening on what has become, and I congratulate them for it, a prestigious event for Ireland's business and financial community.
There you go, a nice look back on our honorees of the past. And of course, our honorees tonight are of equal stature. Indeed, when I heard the welcome for Joe Schmidt, I thought, seeing as we have the Taoiseach in the room, maybe we could work out a backstop to keep him here. We have the practice. Our first award of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is Foreign Direct Investment of the Year Award. FDI into Ireland, as you all know, is a huge part of what has driven the recovery of the Irish economy from the dark days of the recession. And in this room alone, let alone in the rest of the country, we've many of the biggest names in international businesses operating in this country. And we are delighted to welcome all of you here tonight. Hugely important to the success of foreign direct investment in Ireland is the IDA. And please now join me in welcoming Martin Shanahan, CEO of the IDA, to the stage to present the award for FDI of the Year. Hi, Martin. Over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds like the starters are done. So, Taoiseach, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, delighted to be invited here again this year to present Business and Finance's FDI of the Year Award. I want to begin by thanking Business and Finance and Ireland Inc. for their continued support. I also want to congratulate all of the recipients this evening. I want to thank all in this room who have supported IDA throughout the year in winning investments, and there are many. There are those here from the professional services. There are the leadership of existing multinational companies represented here, and indeed Irish companies that we use as reference sites for attracting multinational companies. Also, obviously, want to acknowledge the presence of many elected representatives, including the Taoiseach, many ministers. I want to particularly recognise the presence of my own Minister for Business, Enterprise and Innovation, Heather Humphreys. She foots the bill, so that's important in that regard, and thank you for doing that, Minister. The Minister will announce IDA's results in early January, but I think it's no secret that it has been a very good year for foreign direct investment. Ireland's proposition, stability, track record, and our tenacity in competing for investment has delivered. But we can't rest on our laurels. We have to continue to focus on our competitiveness and what's within our control, regardless of what is happening elsewhere in the world. None of this, of course, would be possible if it weren't for investors. Given Ireland's success in attracting investment, it should come as no surprise that much of the new investment that comes to Ireland comes from those that have already invested. FDI in Ireland, contrary to some comment, is extraordinarily sticky. And tonight's winner of the FDI award is a great example of that stickiness. To all the clients in the room, I can reassure you that IDA values you all equally and loves you all equally. But Business and Finance and the committee have chosen one winner again this year. This company established a small manufacturing facility in Ireland in 1985. It has transformed and reinvented itself several times over the years as corporate missions, mandates and technologies have changed. Today, it employs over 3,000 people between its European Operations Centre, European Development Centre and its data centre operations. And it continues to recruit and announced hundreds of jobs during the course of 2018, for which the recruitment continues. The most visible manifestation of this company's commitment was the unveiling of its new European headquarters this year, having invested in excess of 130 million in it. The company has had an enormous impact on the economy, both in terms of the direct spend it has on payroll, materials and services, but also through the corporate social responsibility initiatives that it supports. This year's Business and Finance Foreign Direct Investment of the Year is Microsoft.
Thank you very much, Martin. Katrina, would you like to say a few words?
So we have Katrina Halloran, the Managing Director of Microsoft Ireland.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to take a couple of minutes to thank Business and Finance for this recognition. As Martin said, Microsoft has had a huge commitment to Ireland over the last 33 years. But this year has been a particularly special year for us in the transformation of the company and the cultural change that we've been going through over the last couple of years. And it was marked by the unveiling of our new campus out in Leopardstown, a 134 million investment in 34,000 square metre campus. But that campus depicts our transformation. It also is an area that we've invested in a dream space for children. And it's a very special space where we're bringing children from all over Ireland in both primary and secondary school to help them build the skills for the future and to ignite in them the interest in technology that they'll need as all of our worlds transform. So thank you everybody here, thank you to the team in Microsoft. It's been a fantastic journey, and this year has just shown another commitment by Microsoft to continue to expand its footprint here in Ireland, both now and in the future. So thank you.
There you go. It's so heavy. Well done. Thanks very much, Katrina. I'm delighted to hear that about the children's space. My husband works at Microsoft, so he can take the children in with him tomorrow, and I will stay in bed. Congratulations to Microsoft and Martin Shanahan. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we move to a new award category now. This is called the Elevation Award in association with Enterprise Ireland. The Elevation Award recognises Irish businesses that are fast growing with significant potential to scale globally, focusing on Irish companies of up to €500 million market capitalisation. So to present this award tonight, will you please welcome the CEO of Enterprise Ireland, Julie Cinnamon. Thanks, Julie. Hi, Julie. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to partner with Business and Finance and KPMG for this inaugural award this evening. As all of you will know, Enterprise Ireland works around the world helping Irish companies to grow their sales and to scale and really to become the Irish multinationals of the future. And that's why this award tonight is fantastic, to recognise specifically companies that have vision and have the potential to scale and are under 500 million euros in turnover. And one of the great pleasures for me in this role is actually going around the world and seeing the success of these companies in global markets and seeing companies that are not buying from Ireland because we're nice people, but buying from us because we've got leading edge technology and solutions to problems. And that's what we're celebrating here tonight. So the award, as Claire has said, is for people with innovation and scalability. The judging panel have taken a long time to bring the nomination panel down from quite a large list to 5 people. So the short list for tonight's nominees for the Elevation Award are...
And the nominees for the Elevation Award are Finergo, Gaeltech, Lotus Works, Port West, WiseTech.
And the winner is Port West.
And the nominees for the Elevation Award are...
Thank you very much. We're delighted, and I want to thank Business and Finance and their sponsors for this award. In particular, I'd like to thank our staff at the head office in Westport and our team worldwide, because it was their commitment and ability that has made this award possible. I'd also like to thank our customers, because their loyalty and the fact that they give us great business has allowed us to grow. I'd also like to thank all of the companies in the room, especially the finalists. Continued success and congratulations on your own business. And finally, I'd like to thank the judges. Thank you for recognising our company. We are absolutely honoured to have won this award. Thank you very much.
Well done. Congratulations to you. There you go. Well done to our winners, Port West, and many thanks as well to Julie Cinnamon for joining us here tonight for the inaugural Elevation Award. Celebrating another institution now, may I please welcome Ian Hyland back to the podium, presenting a very special award tonight, but I'm going to let Ian tell you all about this one.
Thank you, Claire. You save your hand. You get sore hands, by the way. Thank you, Claire, indeed. And many congratulations to our first 2 honorees. Can I just mention Port West? I sat in that presentation, and that was a very low-key acceptance speech. Port West has 4,000 staff around the world, and when you look at some of these submissions, they would blow your mind, quite simply, and we've got to be very proud of what we're doing from a business perspective, and I want to congratulate not just Port West, but all the shortlisted companies, but particularly Judy Cinnamon and Kevin Sherry and all the Enterprise Ireland team who take a lot of these companies from concepts, which I know Port West has a 100-plus year history, on a fantastic journey. So many congratulations to you. I am particularly delighted to present a very special award this evening before we feed you your main course. This award has been presented to an organisation who this year celebrates 25 years at the core of Irish business. Since its inception in 1993, IBEC has been representing Irish business across a range of sectors in international markets through a quarter of a century of cosmic change. IBEC has become one of Europe's largest business lobby groups, and in our view, now mission critical to Ireland Inc. and its representation of its corporate members regardless of scale. Today, IBEC's members employ over 70% of the private sector workforce in Ireland, and now IBEC has over 40 trade associations within its family, lobbying for different sectors of industry and making it a critical partner to Irish business and indeed the Irish economy. Key to IBEX is its own leadership, and I would like to reference some of its past presidents in the room this evening: Anne Herity, Edel Crilly, its current president, Porrick Curtis, and indeed its vice president, Pat McCann, together with the chair, Eugene McCaig, and IBEX CEO, Danny McCoy. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a celebration of business, but without organisations like IBEC, we simply wouldn't be at the scale we are. So it gives me a great pleasure to please ask you to welcome to the stage Danny McCoy, CEO of IBEC, to accept a special award. Danny.
Thank you, Ian. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a really great honour for me to accept this award on behalf of IBEC, its members, its board, its staff, both past and present. What a 25 years the Irish business community has had since IBEC was formed back in 1993. It was the merger of the Confederation of Irish Industry and the Federation of Irish Employers, both entities that stretch back to near on 100 years. The roll call of Irish businesses and business leaders that Ian and his team at Business Finance have brought together down through the years, and it's to their credit for doing so, have honoured that time frame so much. It's a great testimony to the development and ambition that we in the IBEC executive certainly are mindful of and want to continue that tradition. Reflecting on the scale of Irish business footprint, IBEC now is not just the largest business organisation and lobby group in Ireland, is one of the largest in Europe. This is reflective of the scale of Irish business. We're a regional, national and international organisation representing all the major sectors in what is the most vibrant business community globally. One of the great features of IBEC, as Ian pointed out, was the number of trade associations and trade brands. As he mentioned, near 40. But also I want to give acknowledgement to my colleagues, the 240 professionals who every day represent business and give voice to the concerns and advocate on your behalf. No other country on earth today has the relative global footprint in business as Ireland does. It is a model of substance with great depth and diversity. Just take one observation in the last 25 years. This society, having the highest growth in exports globally, has given rise to the highest growth in employment in any developed economy. That's 1 million more people at work than 1993, a doubling of the workforce, and there's more to come. The achievements have been truly immense. IBEC is pleased to have been a contributor to that success and being that voice for you both here domestically and globally. But one thing I'd like to just point out in finishing, Ireland's membership of the European Union, and in particular the single market, has been the game changer during the past quarter century. IBEC and its members have always campaigned positively for the EU in every referendum. We've helped, and it has helped, internationalise Irish business, access new markets, new people, new technology, and new capital sources. It remains, by singular, the game changer for our business community, and one that we critically must emphasise given the days that we live in. Crucially, the single market removed the hard border on this island and underpins the peace process which is the achievement of the Good Friday Agreement. Business was central to this and creating the necessary conditions, and will now need to do so again. We will now need to do so again. And so to many that's given in this room, much is expected and will be expected from generations that have built the business model to where it is today. And so tonight we really have a rallying call and see this as IBEC representing you in this most critical of times, because the collective voice of business has never been more important, given the fragmentation we witness daily undermining success of what actually is the greatest achievement of humankind. The corporation and the capitalist system has lifted this world in a way that no centuries or any epoch ever before, and Ireland has completed the vanguard. So the Finnish IBEC is not just for the large nor the international, we're for the small and for the medium and domestic market as well, across all regions and sectors. Stronger together, here's to the next 25 years and staying on the global frontier. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks very much. Thank you very much to Danny McCoy, and congratulations to both him and to IBEC. Now, dinner is coming, but just before we break for the main course, I just want to speak very quickly again about Haven. As Ian mentioned, Haven started in 2009, just before the devastating earthquake of January 2010. 200,000 people died in that earthquake. 2.1 million people were made homeless. I just want to show you a quick video of the work that Haven do in Haiti. Take a look.
Deoman Genman. There are mountains beyond mountains. After one struggle or upset, there will inevitably be another. So says the famous proverb that is sometimes cruelly most apparent in the towns and villages of Haiti. After the political unrest of the late 20th century, Haiti was hit with the most devastating earthquake in recent history. Shortly after this, many more lives were cut short by the outbreak of cholera. But since 2010, Haiti has been rebuilding, much of it assisted by the international community and organisations like Haven. But the greatest investors in the future of Haiti have been the Haitians, who have tirelessly been rebuilding a future for themselves, looking not to where they were, but beyond that to an independent and self-sustainable nation. When I travelled to Haiti, I met men and women who were proud of their country, its rich history and culture, and who wanted to work hard to make it better for them, their children and future generations. The Haitian people have the motivation, the skills and the desire to get their country to a state where it can support itself. But first it needs your support. Haven hopes you can dig deep and support our projects to help Haiti get working for its own future. Thank you.
There you go, that's Haven, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, showing the power of partnership between business and the not-for-profit sector. It is time for dinner, so please enjoy your main course. I'll be back with some more fun after your meal, so enjoy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back your host, Claire Byrne.
Hello again, everybody. I hope you enjoyed dinner. Please take your seats again now as we move on to the second part of the evening. Before we kick off again, we are delighted to have a short video now from a greatly valued supporter and partner of the Business and Finance Awards, Jaguar.
power brings us new opportunities. To a crossroads where we pause. As we imagine a purely electric vehicle, rethinking everything, every flowing line, every possible space, every single connection, every last element, until it has all changed, except for our soul. A Jaguar still roars, but silently. The new, all-electric Jaguar I-Pace.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Jaguar, very important part of the evening. Now, next up, we are going to reveal the winners of the 2018 Business and Finance Company of the Year and Business Person of the Year awards. As a small country, Ireland has consistently punched above its weight on the international stage, and Business and Finance has, over the last 6 decades, been there to report on and to promote the companies and people who are representing Ireland on the world business stage, and it's our pleasure to honour them again tonight. KPMG, as you're no doubt aware, has long supported business excellence as an esteemed partner of the Business and Finance Awards, and in continuing with this tradition, I'm delighted now to welcome and invite Sean Murphy, Managing Partner of KPMG, along with Ian Hyland to the stage to announce the winners of both of these awards. So let's hear it for Sean and for Ian. It's all yours.
Thanks, Claire. Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Claire said, at KPMG, we're very proud to be long-term sponsors of the Business and Finance Awards and the excellence that these awards celebrate. As we look back on 2018, we can reflect on a year of strong economic growth, where Irish business has continued to demonstrate both its local and its global ambition. The year ahead will provide lots of opportunities and lots of challenges for all of us. Inevitably, Brexit risks overshadowing almost everything, and we are very much stuck in the middle of political madness of one sort to the left and political madness of another sort to the right of us. But I think we are fortunate in Ireland to have able politicians in government and in the main opposition parties who act with responsibility and integrity on all the big issues. We saw that yesterday on the extension of the Confidence and Supply Agreement to 2020, and we've seen that on the national consensus on the approach to the Brexit negotiations. We have politicians and civil servants representing Ireland's interests in a balanced and measured and fair way. And that need for stable and thoughtful policy making will be paramount in 2019. And we, as Danny has said, as business leaders, we need to play our part in ensuring that the voice of business continues to be heard on these important issues. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very optimistic that the leadership and the creativity, the innovation of our business community will rise to all of the challenges in 2019, and that Irish business will continue to make an enormous and hugely positive contribution to our society. Tonight's nominees and award winners are great examples of success in business, in social justice, in politics, and in sport. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I commend all of the shortlisted businesses and their leaders tonight. To Ian Hyland and Paul Connolly and all the team at Business and Finance, well done and a great job in making this event happen. To my magnificent colleagues at KPMG, I want to thank you. I'd also like to thank, as Ian did, all of our judges, and in particular our chair, Francis Moran, for their time, for their commitment, and for their professionalism. And finally, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank all of you, on behalf of my colleagues, for coming here this evening in such great numbers to recognise and to celebrate excellence and achievement in Irish business and in Irish life. So thank you. On that note, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the shortlist for the Business and Finance 2018 Company of the Year Award. The Company of the Year shortlist is...
The nominees for the Company of the Year Award 2018 are Aer Lingus, Avalon Holdings Limited, Quilcha, DCC PLC, First Derivatives, Icon PLC, Kingspan, Magnet Networks, Primark.
And the winner of the Business and Finance 2018 Company of the Year Award is Kingspan.
And thank you to Business and Finance and to KPMG and the judging panel. The last time we actually won this award was back in 2006. The year after, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a downturn. As you can imagine, that's an understatement. But the Kingspan growth story has been extremely positive since then. As a business, we have grown substantially in terms of our scope growth over a number of different markets across the globe. A very different business now than we were back then. But one thing that's really remained steadfast for Kingspan is the culture. The culture is extremely important. It hasn't changed. It's all about people and focus on people, and also on innovation. And innovation in terms of paving new ground on the whole focus on achieving zero energy buildings. And that's at the core of Kingspan and remains the core of our culture. And if you look at our overall staff, and I'd like to just pay compliments to the 14,000 people who work in Kingspan today, and on behalf of them, a real sincere thank you for this award. It's very special and it's truly appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, turning to the nominees for the 2018 Business Person of the Year Award. The Business Person of the Year shortlist is...
The nominees for Business Person of the Year are Michael Burke, the Chanel Group, Terry Clune, Taxback Group, Transfermate, Brian Conlon, First Derivatives, Edel Creeley, Trilogy Technologies, Fergal Leamy, Quilcha, Brendan McAtamney, UDG Healthcare, Pat McCann, Delata Hotel Group PLC, David McRedmond, On Pust, Fiona Muldoon, FBD Insurance, Larry Murren, Dawn Farms, Jean Murta, Kingspan, Liam Nagel, Norbrook, Tony Smurfett, Smurfett Kappa Group.
And the winner of the 2018 Business and Finance Business Person of the Year Award is Tony Smurfett.
You know, my daughter, who's here with me, has a saying, "I'm not going to lie," and she often does. She's a teenager, as you know. But I'm not going to lie, because when I saw my father's picture up there and seeing that he won this back in 1983, it makes me immensely proud to emulate him. But it makes me immensely proud to emulate him for a number of reasons. Of course, because I got the award, it's really fantastic, and you know, I think very fantastic for me. But more importantly, it's fantastic for the company. You know, this year has been a very interesting year for the company, and with the support of the board led by the great Liam O'Mahony, we've come through a very difficult and trying time, and yet we've come through it in a very strong way. When you look at the prospects for Smurfit Kappa with the whole Better Planet packaging that we're launching, and what we're doing with relation to corrugated packaging and replacing plastics, and all of the things that we do in the sustainability agenda, which was already mentioned tonight, the board and us in the company, whether you're in Argentina or Sweden or Mexico or Italy, I mean, it's incredible the prospects that we have as we look forward. And so, you know, and that comes from, as Jean just said, the culture that you embed in a company. In Smurfit Kappa, we've got a fantastically hard-working culture, a familial type of culture, but yet hard-working and driving culture, which makes a difference, and it's embedded in the things we talk about all the time, which is integrity, loyalty, respect. And of course, sometimes you're let down by some of those things. People don't, customers don't respect you the way you'd love them to. But in fact, you know, you get on with it and you continue to build your reputation, and sometimes people let you down. They don't act with the same integrity that you want people to do, but most of the time you do it. And as I say, all around the world, and our chairman will tell you, he goes to different factories and you see the same sort of integrity and culture and values that make a difference in a company. And that's what I'm so proud of when I look at what Smurfit Kappa has done over the years and when I look at the prospects. But of course, you know, tonight is to thank people, it's to thank the board, but the most important people I want to thank are my family. I'm really lucky. I work, you know, I leave my home on Sunday night or come back on Saturday morning, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of my wife and my family, and she's been incredible, Sharon. Equally, you know, I've been very, very blessed in my life to have a father-in-law and mother-in-law, and my father-in-law is going through some very difficult times, but he has been really a surrogate father to my kids, and he has helped me build my career and do my 9 to 5 and get up early in the morning and leave home late at night. And so he's been an incredible person, and in his own moments of difficulty, I wish him and love him very much. And so with that, of course, you know, without the people in the company, and we've had a fantastic year. We are going to make the 6th consecutive year of record profits, 9 consecutive growing years of business development. We've got great prospects going forward, and it's because of the people. As Jean has just said, the people make all the difference. In Smurfit Kappa, we have got fantastic people, we've got fantastic position, we've got a fantastic footprint, and I'm just honored and blessed to be the leader of that group. And I want to thank Business and Finance and everybody in this room who have taken the time to listen to me. And thank you all for everything. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sean and Ian. And to our winners now for something completely different, because ladies and gentlemen, in the context of our next award, and this will all become clear in time, we thought it was important tonight to highlight the great performance of so many women in Irish sport. From our hockey team doing so well at the World Cup, to the boxing achievements of Kelly Harrington in recent weeks. It's been a really great year for Irish sportswomen. However, it would be hard to deny that Irish women's sport faces many challenges. There have been some improvements in recent times, but despite all of those great achievements, women's sport has been trapped in a cycle of low attendances, lack of coverage, and insufficient funding. So 20 by 20 is a KPMG supported package, and its aim is really simple. It's to achieve a 20% increase in participation, attendance, and coverage of women's sport by 2020. So they are very basic and we hope very achievable aims. KPMG also supports, by the way, Irish professional golfers Leona and Lisa Maguire and the Dublin Ladies Gaelic football team, whose captain and player of the year, Sinead Ahern, just happens to work with KPMG as well. So we send our congratulations to Sinead. It seems entirely appropriate then that we would take a look and showcase the work of the 20 by 20 initiative, and we'll have a look at a really short video now to explain it to you in more detail.
I love running, I'm very good at it. All my family calls me Speedy. I'm black belt. I got a whack in the knee today, or a hurl. When you get in the boat, you just get this rush. Ronaldo, Paul Pogba, Usain Bolt, Jack McCaffrey, Rory McIlroy. Women's sports stars. I don't really know any of the girls, so. Whenever people are recording things, they don't want to record girls for some reason. Oh, you have to come to this match, it's going to be great. And then the women's are just kind of like, oh, come if you can. The only thing that they passed was if the teacher makes a rule saying you have to pass to 5 girls before you can score. In my head, I'd be like, you should have passed to me. Then, real life, I just don't say anything.
And that's it. 20 by 20. And that takes me nicely now to our award for Outstanding Contribution to Brand Ireland. So where were you on the 17th of November? Some of you might have been lucky enough to be in the Aviva to witness and to watch Ireland beating the All Blacks to become the #1 ranked rugby team in the world. We don't tire of saying it. Now, at this point, I think it's a really good idea to pass the reins over to somebody whom I'm sure you would much prefer hearing to talk about rugby than me. Will you please welcome Irish rugby legend to present our outstanding achievement in Brand Ireland, Keith Wood. Hey Keith, stand there for the whole video now.
Good evening, everybody. It's difficult to believe that Ireland could have had the year we have just witnessed. From a Grand Slam to a Southern Hemisphere Series win to winning at home against the All Blacks, this has been a year of years. Of course, our players deserve the credit along with the coaching staff and the IRFU. But one name stands above all others, because this year is not an anomaly. It is the latest in a series of great years for Ireland under the leadership of Joe Schmidt. We see writ large the successes, but know very little of the unseen work, the trips to schools and clubs throughout the country, or the behaviours Joe has inculcated to those he has come into contact with. His influence has trickled down to far more than just rugby supporters. His influence has reminded us that we can set our own standard, a standard that can espouse what it means to be Irish. How ironic, therefore, that it comes from a man from another land who recognises in our own young men and women the possibilities that they have before them if they prepare properly and live those standards throughout their lives. We have all felt pride in the successes of Joe's teams and the feeling that for Ireland, even for Brand Ireland, anything is possible with hard work, preparation, intellect, humility, and belief. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a not-so-brief look at what happened in rugby in this last year.
An historic year in Irish rugby got off to a really memorable start here at Lansdowne Road.
occasion, and this day is right up there with the best moments.
He slipped, looks back inside, and it's Kearney, Rob Kearney, straight through, under the post. Oh, what a start to the second half. Sexton, O'Driscoll, pirouettes out of the first tackle, Brian O'Driscoll.
Sexton was calling for that ball, O'Driscoll, and then a wraparound with Sexton, the handoff from Johnny Sexton, it's going to be Ireland's first try.
Trimble, little bit of space, Andrew Trimble, he's away, O'Driscoll got his shoulder, Trimble, O'Driscoll, one for the books for Brian O'Driscoll, just held him. It's Ireland's day, and the fairy tale season for Joe Schmidt, and this Irish squad has come through.
I'm not sure I can last too long doing this sort of job. The heart just about gave up, but I think we've shown incredible discipline right through the tournament. I think it was a credit to the players today that they maintained that discipline right till the finish.
This guy has established a whole new way of playing the game for us.
What he's done is, I think, we talked about before, he's brought this commitment to not making mistakes. If you want to play the game, play the game. Above all that Joe has brought, and he brought it with Leinster, he brought a belief to win. There's no way that Joe went into that match thinking they wouldn't win. I know you say it's going to be tough, but he would have installed that we are there to win the game. Yeah. That's it.
Cowan and Johnny Gray get him down and then over for the try. Paul O'Connell emerges. A bit of width, Sexton. Crash ball through the middle. It's another try. It's Janet Payne.
Nice pass as well to Tommy O'Donnell from Madigan. And Tommy O'Donnell with the handoff. O'Donnell, he's going and he's down.
And it is an absolute pleasure and an absolute privilege to say, for 2015, Ireland are the back-to-back Six Nations champions.
I'd love to say I've got something to do with it, but I think Paul O'Connell grabbed the weak by the scruff of the neck and he led them forward. And these sort of nights don't come along very often, and I'm just going to enjoy a special night with a special group of players and staff who have worked incredibly hard for the last 8 weeks.
The ambition of Ireland, and once again they're looking for a try on the cusp of half-time, and Stockdale going for it, and he may well have got it. And if he has got it, it's a history-making try. And pulled it out of the fire, but not now. Stockdale has it, and Ireland have it.
The point at which a drop goal becomes possible. Sexton waits, here it comes. It looks good, he likes it, Nigel Owen's arm goes up, and Ireland have stolen the game right at the dip, and the players tear back into their own 22.
we go. It's come right up there, but look at Ireland. On they go. Climate is in the scrum. Have you ever seen it? You've seen a pack being obliterated like that. At this set piece. Can't say, but I can. Corcon's finest. Absolutely brilliant from Peter O'Mahony. There for Sexton in behind to Aki. They switch the point of attack to the left hand side. Stockdale. That chip works out. That chip works really well. Stockdale for Ireland. Jacob Stockdale. What a try! Look at the reaction from the bench. Jacob Stockdale, record try scorer. Conor Murray on his feet. Record try scorer in the Six Nations last year. Still there for New Zealand. 16th place coming up. That's dropped. That's dropped. It's over. The final whistle sounds. Chicago is banished to the memory, and Ireland have beat New Zealand in Dublin for the first time ever. Donald Lenihan. And there was no ambush here today. This was two teams going at each other, full tilt, and Ireland were better. They came out on top. They bossed the game from start to finish. They had that period when they had to absorb pressure. They did that. They stood up, and I've never seen the Aviva alive like this. Unbelievable.
I don't think I have to say anything.
Wow, thank you very much. I accept that trophy on behalf of an incredibly hard-working staff and a very proud bunch of young men who've worked very hard as well. I know Woody put a lot of thought into his words today because I've never heard him say anything nice about me before. So he obviously put a lot of research into that. Inculcated. He even went so far as to work his way through the dictionary, so fair play, Woody. Einstein said, try not to be a man of success, but a man of value. And I think that those young men have contributed to a value that has been incredibly visible for our small nation. And I think they have taken that around the world to particularly South Africa, where we got our first win, undernumbered, where we got our win against Australia, not quite to the level that Ollie Campbell's lads did it, with 2 out of 2, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad when you're playing in Australia. So it has been an incredible year, but it started probably 5 years ago. When you start building something, you get clever people involved. And Diarmaid Fiata from UCD, the historian, came in and told a story about his first day at UCD University in the history arena that he has long now been involved in. And he went to his first lecture, and the lecturer came into the room and he said, what is an Irishman? and he left the room. And Dermot Ferreter told the lads that he's been trying to work it out ever since. And we wanted to try to help solve that issue. And we tried to be the Irishmen that were resilient, that showed the value of working hard, that showed the value of cohesion, that showed the value of caring beyond your team into the community. And those players have very proudly, with a huge amount of hard work, achieved some fairly special things. And the theme that we had going into that final Grand Slam game, where nothing really went smoothly, even to the degree that it was -5 degrees in Twickenham. They painted the lines blue because they were worried the snow might make it difficult to see the lines. And then they had to add white marks to the blue lines because the referee turned up and he was blue-green colourblind. And it goes to show that with the very best of planning, you can never really make sure that everything's going to go smoothly. But they are an incredibly ordinary group of men who form an extraordinary team who are capable of exceptional deeds. And that's what Ireland and that's what Irish people are capable of. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Well done. Nice to meet you. Joe Schmidt, everybody. I was going to say honorary Irishman, but I'm going to leave out the honorary and say Irishman Joe Schmidt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us remember a great business leader we lost earlier this year, Peter Sutherland. In his honour, and with the support of the Sutherland family, I'm delighted that they're with us here tonight. It gives me great pleasure to announce that a new award, the Sutherland Leadership Award, has been created. So can we now please welcome to the stage Peter's great friend, Niall Fitzgerald, KBE, who will be presenting the inaugural Sutherland Leadership Award tonight. Niall.
I'd like to start by thanking Ian Hyland for arranging for me to follow Woody and Joe Schmidt. I mean, there are death slots on these, but this is the ultimate. It's a huge privilege, and I'd have to say a slightly emotional moment, for me to present the inaugural Peter Sutherland Leadership Award to Jose Manuel Barroso. It's almost a year since Marucha and Natalia, Ian and Shane lost Peter. We all lost something. In a world which is desperately short of statesmen and women, Peter has left an enormous gap. How appalled he would be, how enraged at the dishonesty, the incompetence, the lack of vision we're seeing around the debate which is called Brexit. And that's a dishonesty and an incompetence and a lack of vision in the other Ireland, not in this one. How much we could use his unique combination of courage, charm, guile, intellect, bull-headed prop determination, just at this moment. How much we miss his voice which articulated how much openness was important as a means to opportunity. And his great legacy, of course, is the Erasmus scheme. How much we miss his voice, which was able to put so persuasively the moral and the practical and the positive case for migration. Almost 10 years ago, actually I think almost to the day, Peter introduced me to receive an award at this event. He then spent the next mostly 10 years stealing all my jokes and repeating them on every occasion so that nobody could ever attribute them to me. Peter has left a gap in so many people's lives. He's actually left a very particular gap in my life, because when eventually Munster beat Leinster, who the hell am I going to call to gloat about that if it's not Peter? I had the very humbling experience when I was asked to write an obituary for Peter. And I ended that obituary with when I said, "The brightest star has dimmed, but his light will be with us through the ages." So how fitting that the inaugural Peter Sutherland Award is about leadership. How fitting an award about leadership is in the name of a man who was a truly remarkable leader, a visionary, and a unique statesman. Please look at this video.
I gavel the Uruguay round is concluded.
Helped by the collapse of the Iron Curtain, we suddenly had a world where everybody agreed that the market economy principle should work. And let's be frank about it. The resources are grossly inadequate. And we as a group in this room have a responsibility in each of our own jurisdictions to bring political pressure to provide the resources that the merger task force so obviously badly needs.
We have seen during negotiations, during critical moments, that Peter Sutherland played a very important role in projecting the point of view of developing countries to major trading entities.
My passion has always been Europe. I think Ireland has been well served by its commissioners, those who succeeded me and indeed those who preceded me.
Europe has long been a leading voice on development. Now the development, the nexus and connection between development and migration has to be increasingly focused upon. And in fact, I think that is what is happening. We started from a world where we condemned countries who kept people in, the USSR, basically, the Iron Curtain. We now accept that people have the right to leave. Almost all over the world, that's accepted. But we don't accept the right of people to enter other countries.
There seems to be an implication that those who are closest to a disaster in some way carry a greater responsibility. This is a global crisis. The whole world should be taking a position in regard to taking refugees. All of the countries of the OECD should be prepared when asked, and they should be asked to say how much they will play a role in the distribution of refugees. We have to work together on this in Europe and have a European solution. I think globalization is and has provided the greatest opportunity to take people out of abject poverty that history has ever provided. So, this is a time of immense challenge for our values and our commitment. And this is a subject worth fighting for. I don't mean literally, but worth fighting for in terms of standing up and being counted on the issue itself.
José Manuel Barroso needs very little introduction. Prime Minister of Portugal from 2002 to 2004, President of the Commission from 2004 to 2014, the President when the Lisbon Treaty was signed, when the European Union expanded from 15 to 28, a notable academic in his own right, being lectured at Georgetown and Princeton, amongst many others. Actually, his greatest accolade is I am very fortunate I have a wonderful Portuguese gardener. I was chatting to him yesterday. I said, "You know what I'm doing tomorrow?" And I told him. And this man looked at me with a respect that he has not given me in 10 years. I'd suddenly gone so far up in his esteem. But I want to focus on José Manuel Barroso's connection with Ireland, a close, friendly relationship, both at a country level but also at a personal level. When he was the leader of the opposition in Portugal in the late 90s, it was a time when there was a very complex issue on the world scene, which was the East Timor issue. And I want to give you a quote from the then leader of the Portuguese opposition. He said, "Independence of East Timor from Indonesia was a major national issue. And at the time, no EU country supported it, except Ireland. It was the only one, and I never forgot it." He, of course, became president of the European Commission at the time of Ireland was in the rotating presidency, became a very close friend of Bertie Ahern. When he arrived at the Commission, the most powerful civil service role in the Commission is that of Secretary General, and that was held by an Irishman, David O'Sullivan. Of course, immediately, several European countries, notably the French, put pressure on the new incoming President of the Commission to change this, obviously make it a French person. And he listened to that, and then he appointed another Irish person into the role, Catherine Day, who I think is with us tonight, against the opposition of all of the big states. So he appointed the first and only woman into this role, and he appointed, for the first time, that the same nationality fill the role for two successive roles. In the financial crisis of 2008, when there was an insistence by some, again notably the French, I'm afraid to say, on conditionality on giving any help to Ireland, conditionality on tax policy, the President of the Commission fought against that and ensured there was indeed no conditionality related to tax policy. Ireland came through it, as we know, and Ireland is what it is today. He was hugely supportive during the peace process. In fact, he was probably, almost certainly, the first non-Irish, non-British politician of any kind to meet and have dinner together with Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness in 2007. I understand they tried to convince him over that meal that Northern Irish food was the best and that indeed he should support Ballymena United. He was not convinced, but he was committed to peace. I have to say, Jose, had another Irishman, one Willie John McBride, been at that table, he would have convinced you to support a different Ballymena team. It is not possible, I think, to imagine a better qualified person to receive the first Peter Sutherland Award for Outstanding Leadership. Jose.
Thank you very much, Niall, for these extremely kind words. Thank you to all the organizers. Very special thanks also to the family here present of Peter Sutherland. It is indeed a privilege to receive the inaugural Peter Sutherland Leadership Award, honoring the memory of my friend and colleague. His legacy lives on with us all. I'm very proud to receive this prize, both for Peter's memory and for Ireland. First of all, because of my real friendship with Ireland, that was already mentioned, through the peace process, through the difficult moments, extremely difficult moments of the financial crisis, where my country, Portugal, was also facing some of the problems that Ireland was facing in another context, but also facing some of those problems. And also for many Irish friends that I had over time, not only Peter Sutherland, some were mentioned here, Catherine Day, the first Secretary General that I nominated in the European Commission. So I really feel this prize as a very special one, and I want to thank you for that. But I feel it's very special because of Peter Sutherland. Peter was someone who loved profoundly his country, at the same time was a very committed European, and at the same time he was a truly citizen of the world. There are some people who think that the citizens of the world is a citizen of nowhere. I don't agree with that. We can be patriotic, to love our country, and I know how deeply Peter felt about his country, how strong he was in his commitment to his Irishness. At the same time, he was a real committed European, and he was engaged in global matters and also defending a more decent global order. Peter was a committed European, and he has given a great contribution as member of the European Commission. He was also, with European values and European ideals, he was also promoting this vision globally in the migration policy, but also as the founding Director General of WTO. I was in that meeting when we created the WTO after the end of GATT. And the question that I wanted to share with you tonight very briefly is precisely this issue. Are we going or not to have in the future a world based on the principles of openness? Are we going or not to be able to defend our European model of open societies and open economies? Are we going to prevail in the fight against protectionism, nationalism, nativism, populism that we see today? I continue to think yes. And now, I'm no longer in official capacity, so as I usually say, I think my sincerity is increasing day by day. I'm sharing with you what I really think. I'm not here speaking on behalf of the European Commission, the European Union, or of any specific institution. But based on the experience, I think that what we are seeing today in the world is resistance because there is movement. So there is a resistance to a more open world. There is a resistance to a multilateral order based on rules. There is resistance to the European Union as a transnational project. But at the end, we will prevail because this is, in fact, the biggest trend. If we ask ourselves, how will the world be, let's say, 10 or 20 years from now? Is there going to be more or less trade, more or less cross-investment, more or less international travel, more or less cultural or scientific exchange? I continue to think that that will be the trend. But we are watching now strong resistance. And there is a global struggle between what I call flux, the flux of people, of goods, of ideas, and also friction, the resistance to that very flux. We know all where Peter was in that fight or in that struggle. But let's be honest, there are problems that we should be attentive to. There are concerns that the citizens have, namely those who are less able to cope with the challenge of globalization, that are in a more difficult or vulnerable position. And we have to address those concerns. Growing inequality, including in our very countries. Also the issues of the absence of an order based on principles and values. We have, if we want to keep the success of open societies and open economies, we have to address those concerns. And also, we cannot do it alone. Our countries, even the biggest countries in Europe, are too small. Indeed, as a former European Union Prime Minister said, in Europe, all countries are small. The problem is that some have not noticed it yet. In face of a country like 1.5 billion people like China, or the United States, or even India, what can our countries, the biggest countries with 60 or 80 million people do if we don't act together? That's why I believe the European Union, that has its problems, its shortcomings, and I know some of them, but indeed it's the most successful process ever of transnational cooperation. And I think we should be a little bit proud of what the European Union has delivered in terms of peace, but also in terms of prosperity for all our countries. That's why we have to defend the European Union, because the European Union is the best way to protect our values and to defend our interests. And this is the message I'd like to share with you today. I know that today, here in Ireland, there is great anxiety about this Brexit. I remember well what Peter Sutherland thought about Brexit, and I will not use his words. What he thought about that matter. But I continue to think that if there is intelligence, strategic thinking, wisdom, it's possible to avoid what certainly will be negative for us all in Europe, and here in Ireland, it will be a hard Brexit. I hope that you'll succeed. I think Ireland has been counting with solidarity, not only of the European institutions, but all the European member states. So this shows that the European Union is really receptive to the concerns of all countries, big or small, in the center or in the so-called periphery. And I think you, as Irish, should be proud about your government, your authorities, your diplomats, your civil servants. During all the years I was working in international matters, including the European Union, I can tell you I gained a great respect for the quality of the people that you have in Ireland defending with a truly European interest and a truly European commitment, but defending certainly the national interests of Ireland. About the European Union, I know that today it's very fashionable. I call it the fashion of the intellectual glamour of pessimism, to predict always the collapse of the European Union. I was living those times in the European Commission, when most people were betting on Greece leaving the euro, or even the collapse of the euro. Greece is still in the euro, and the euro is the second most important currency in the world. So I really believe that the resilience of the European Union is stronger than what is commonly acknowledged. There will be difficulties. Our progress is going to be incremental, sometimes frustrating, time-consuming. It's by definition a compromise. The commitments are not perfect. Sometimes it takes too long. And by definition, a compromise, nobody is completely happy. But at the end, I believe that Europe is going to continue to make progress. And we need that Europe to defend our values. Because at the end, what counts more, and I think that's a message that Peter Sutherland will certainly agree, at the end, what counts more is not the state, is not a party, is not an ideology. At the end, what counts more is the person, the human being. And he was very much inspired by these Christian beliefs in the dignity of each human being, a man, a woman, or a child. And this is what counts more at the end. And I believe we can defend more the interests and the values of each human being if we do it in Europe together by the European Union. So thank you very much for your award, and Happy Christmas and Happy New Year.
Jose, thank you very much indeed. Can I just mention that I think watching that video, Peter, was emotional for all of us that knew Peter. And when I congratulate Jose, I know that Peter was such a great hero to all of us, but I think that Peter will be very proud tonight that his friend, the one his friend introduced the award, not Fitzgerald. And secondly, that his great friend Jose has travelled to be with us this evening. I mentioned that in advance of the award earlier on that the Whittaker and Sutherland families are here, but can I particularly welcome right now Peter Sutherland's family, Ian, Shane, Natalia, and their partners and guests who are with us this evening. So you're very welcome, and I hope we did your dad proud this evening. Before I introduce our final honoree, and indeed I want to introduce the Taoiseach to introduce our final honoree, can I just congratulate, as I mentioned again, Jose, can I congratulate Joe Smith on his recognition. Joe, what you've done for Ireland wasn't confined to a rugby pitch. I think it's very clear, but in the spirit of every Irish man, woman and child in every corner of the world, the spring in our step that you and the team and the staff, male and female, have created for us, there's no equal. Well done, Joe. Congratulations. And I just want to mention thanks to Niall for travelling to be here this evening. Can I thank Keith Wood? That was very special, Keith. We thought was most important. And I think only you were the right guy to do that. So thank you, Keith, for travelling to be with us tonight. Before I introduce the Taoiseach, can I just reference our honorees earlier on and all of them, and congratulate all of them on their recognition. Can I congratulate the nominees and indeed for coming and supporting the programme. It was quite outstanding, and I hope that tonight we feel a celebration of business in the context of what Irish companies and business leaders are doing all over the world across many nationalities. So many congratulations to everybody. I have one announcement, if I could make this, if you could bear with me. The panel in choosing the Company of the Year this year were very struck by a particular presentation over the last 2 years. State assets, state commercial businesses don't get an awful lot of recognition. And 2019 is a very important year for the programme. It's 45 years old. It's particularly important also for Coillte. And the judges felt incredibly strongly that they announced this evening that they were so impressed with the presentation, not just this year, Kieran made the presentation, but also last year at Fergal, that next year, as part of the programme starting January, we'd like to recognise Coillte for its outstanding achievement in business, but also as an example of a state-owned operation which delivers a net return to its shareholder. I want to congratulate Cuilche. I look forward to recognising them across next year for their achievements, entire management team. Fergal Leamy, John Maloney, Kieran Fallon, and all the guys here receiving. Before introducing our final award, as I mentioned, I just want to thank again, from my perspective, Sean Murphy and indeed all of the team at KPMG. They are wonderful partners in this programme. It's a year-long programme. This doesn't happen over 1 week or others. I want to recognise all of our other partners. I think we referenced earlier on, but Jaguar, HSBC, Brightwater Executive, Magnet Networks, thank you, Mark, IBEC, congratulations, Danny, again, and our global partners in the Irish Post and Elgin Loan, thank you for travelling to Budapest this evening. Also, Martin Shanahan and the IDA, we work together not just in this programme, but also in the United States with our Ireland Day programme. We are, by the way, Ireland, the only country in the world to get a country day in the New York Stock Exchange for the last 9 years. And that, we do that in partnership with the IDA and Julian Enterprise Ireland. So thank you all. And finally, can I thank my colleagues at Business and Finance. They've done a lot of big scale events this year. And this is a very big scale event, and the team pulled this together and worked very late into the night to make sure everything worked, including those magnificent video productions. So if I could thank my colleagues at Business and Finance and Principal Strategies, thank you. One last thing, I just mentioned, Francis Straman had mentioned to me in their Business for Good element that following last year's award, Brian Moynihan was the honoree, Francis is chair of the Abbey. Bank of America immediately engaged with the Abbey and, can I say, signed a significant cheque and continue to commit to them. So I think this programme itself is a good platform to engage, and if for the feel appropriate, please do so. But thank you to the Bank of America team in that regard. And one final piece, I can say, I mentioned our honorees, I mentioned our ambassadors this evening. It was remiss of me to not mention that the Canadian ambassador is with us this evening also, Mr. Vickers, Kevin Vickers. So thank you very much for coming, and we enjoy our partnership very much with Canada. Now, the 2018 TK Whitaker Award. The Whitaker Award was established by the Business and Finance Award Programme in 2016 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Dr. T.K. Whitaker, who, as we know, was the architect of modern Ireland as we know it through his Programme for Economic Development in 1958, which created a blueprint for what would take Ireland from an inward-looking, closed economy to what it is today, a global hub for trade and commerce. The T.K. Whitaker Award was established by this programme with the support of the Whitaker family to recognise the unique Irish and international leaders in the context of their outstanding contribution to public life. At this point, I would particularly like to welcome Ken's family. Ken Jr., can I say, is with us this evening. David, Brian, his grandson Daniel, next generation, and along with Maeve and Teresa, you're all most welcome. Since its inception in 2016, the T.K. Whitaker Award has recognised President of Ireland Michael D. Higgins, and last year former Taoiseach Enda Kenny. And tonight we honour a true Renaissance woman, a champion of Ireland, equality for all, and a leader who has been a catalyst for change. T.K. Whitaker's body of work is a guide to us all and provides the ethos for this award, and tonight's recipient is a leader who, as T.K. Whitaker imagined, sought the raising of human dignity and eventually the participation of all in the benefits of spending their lives and bringing up their families in Ireland. I'm now delighted to welcome to the stage the Taoiseach of Simon Coveney to present this very special award. Ladies and gentlemen, Taoiseach of Simon Coveney.
Good evening, Laura Uachtaráin, Mary McAleese, ambassadors, in particular British ambassador, who I've got to know very well in the last year or so. Ministers, of course, Oireachtas members, business leaders, award winners, ladies and gentlemen. I am conscious that I think I'm the 13th speaker, which is never a good thing on any level, and so I won't keep you too long. But before I introduce an outstanding woman, can I just congratulate KPMG and Business and Finance for an outstanding evening this evening. I think we don't do this enough as Irish people. But tonight I think we're reminding ourselves of the talent, the ambition, the innovation, the dreamers that we have in Ireland that are doing great things. Primarily, this room is full of business people. Many of you are award winners, or at least were considered for awards this evening because of the great leadership that you're showing in business. But we've also had an opportunity this evening to think about our Irishness in a different way, in a way that I think will allow us to go home filled with something that makes us a little stronger. Joe Schmidt, who is a hero for every young boy in Ireland these days, who gets the best out of people who may be ordinary in their daily lives, but become something special when they're part of a team. As a father of 3 daughters, I am delighted to see that KPMG have launched their 20 by 20 campaign, and I want to make sure that government forms part of that campaign, if we would be allowed, to ensure that my girls, when they dream about hockey or camogie, can dream in the same way that young boys do. I'm Peter Sutherland, who I know Niall was very close to him. Peter was somewhat of a mentor of mine politically. He did it quietly. He was a confidant who I would have called to seek advice at different moments in my political career. He was a person who I trusted like no other in terms of judgment and in terms of approach. And so I am delighted that tonight has also been about recognizing him and his family, who I know and I hope will be very proud of what they heard this evening from people who thought and continue to think so much of Peter's contribution as an Irishman, not only to our own country, not only to the European Union, which he loved and believed in, but to global affairs too, in terms of the transition to a more globalized world that has benefited so many of the businesses and families represented here this evening. And of course, for José Manuel Barroso to be the first recipient of the Peter Sutherland Award, I think is also so appropriate in the context of the challenges that the EU face today. When I was a young member of the European Parliament, José, I can remember when you took the leadership role in the European Commission and you gave your first speech. And I remember how impressed I was then and again this evening. Finally, can I just say, this is probably the first speech that I've given in the last 12 months where I don't talk about Brexit. But since we're full of a room of business people, can I just say that the responsibility that we have in government, in partnership with you, in the coming weeks and months, may well determine how this country together navigates the challenges that we will undoubtedly face, regardless of how Brexit unfolds. It may well be very challenging. I want to recognise the decisions that Fianna Fáil as a political party have made this week in the context of allowing me and the Taoiseach and others, ministers represented here today like Heather Humphreys, to be able to get on and plan comprehensively for what is going to be a very challenging few months ahead, to work with business leaders to make sure that we try to prepare and protect core Irish interests, and as importantly, that we prepare to protect the unique relationship that we need to maintain with our closest neighbour, the United Kingdom, both on this island, north and south, but also east and west, come what may with Brexit. Now, on to the real star that we've kept for last. It is a real privilege for me. It's honor mór domsa bheith an seo an ochtar an ochad speisialta seo to introduce for the outstanding contribution in public life, 4th annual TJ Whittaker Award, former President of Ireland, Mary McAleese. This award, you'll get to stand in a minute. I'm not quite finished. Because I don't want to cut this bit short. The award recognises her remarkable contribution to public life over many years. It is, of course, fitting that the award, which commemorates a distinguished son of County Down, is, in fact, being awarded now to a very distinguished daughter of Belfast. Throughout her career, Mary McAleese has fulfilled many roles. She's been a journalist, she's been a very effective lawyer, she's been a campaigner for many campaigns, and of course, she's been our head of state. But whatever she did, she was always passionate and committed, and she was a champion of justice. Her career is not only marked by great success, but also by a deep sense of dedication to public service. Her commitment to equality and inclusivity, and to a practical sense of patriotism motivated by a wish to improve the lives of everybody on this island, north and south, and to give a voice to people who may have been living in the shadows, marginalized, disempowered people who may not have a voice except hers. This evening, she's being honored not only for her dedicated work as president, which we all know about, in terms of her bridge building on this island, but also most recently for her eloquent campaigning for a more equal and just Ireland in the context of the marriage equality referendum. And I know the pivotal role that she played in that because I was the Director of Elections for government that helped to get that vote across the line. Her public life has always been guided by the words of an Ulster poet, John Hewitt, which she quoted in her inaugural speech as president, that each may grasp his neighbour's hand as a friend. In that spirit, as president, she welcomed Queen Elizabeth on her historic visit to Ireland in 2011, which helped in many ways lay to rest divisions that have haunted many people in the context of our shared history. That visit showed all of the McAleese qualities, including her own deep sense of history and her place in it, in the context of understanding and showing others how our past does not necessarily need to imprison us for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, she has also brought to all of the roles that she has played a deep personal level of empathy. She speaks to everybody, regardless of who they are or where they come from. And I have personal experience of that, as my family had, at a time of real loss, where she showed and made time, as she has done for so many other families, at moments of weakness. It hasn't always been easy for her to reach out. During the Troubles, she worked as a journalist, and that wasn't without risk either. The same courage she showed as a young reporter in Northern Ireland still drives her today, whether it's speaking out clearly on the role of powerful institutions like the Catholic Church, or taking a personal stand in favour of a new cause at home, or galvanizing support for campaigns abroad with other leaders and ex-leaders. The legacy of Dr. D.K. Whittaker is one of a visionary public servant who, in bleak economic and social times, saw clearly what was needed to change the lives of Irish people for the better and permanently. TK Whitaker had a drive and political skills to make that happen, not least through his close partnership with the then Taoiseach, Sean Lamass. Mary McAleese has shown those same skills in her life and her contribution to public life. And like TK Whitaker, she has chosen to use them in the service of others. Her dignity, courage, and determination in all the roles that she's played are a powerful inspiration for those of us who strive to live up to the best ideals of public service. We are fortunate that she was able to serve the people of Ireland as our president, and that she has chosen to continue to dedicate her life to public service ever since. So I am delighted and I'm honoured this evening to present to her the TJ Whitaker Award for Outstanding Contribution to Public Life. And before I do so, I'd like to ask you all to watch the video to remind us all of what an exceptional person we're honouring this evening.
For many Irish women with unwanted pregnancies, that caring society is still a long way off. Formerly, those who decided on abortion risked their lives with backstreet abortionists. Now they simply find their way to legitimate English clinics through friends, sympathetic doctors, or adverts in women's magazines.
Mary and I were among the founding members of the Campaign for Homosexual Law Reform. And remember, this was many years ago, and it would have been seen as a very adventurous thing for a person from a conservative faculty, like the law faculty, to get involved in at all. So it took a certain degree of courage. And she wasn't just a kind of a dead letter member, sleeping partner. She was in there working on policy and helping, and she was very practical.
Ireland sits tantalisingly ready to embrace a golden age of affluence, self-assurance, tolerance and peace. It will be my most profound privilege to be President of this beautiful, intriguing country. Let us make this journey together. Together, we will sow. We will write a new chapter for Ireland. And let it begin with a sigh of relief at the weight that has lifted from us, with joyful gratitude for the hope we have, and with determination to use well and with integrity the tools we have been given. We are dealing here with global terrorism, and so it does call for, in many ways, a global response, and part of that response surely has to be our solidarity, our determination that our open way of life, our democratic values, that the fear and pity and dread and terror that these people, these terrorists, intended to instill in our hearts, that we will not be hostage to them, that we will show in the way in which we support each other, in the way in which we care for each other, in the way in which we love and are decent to each other, that the values of common human will prevail. Thank you for coming to Ireland. We are so proud to have you here. And we are very proud of the wonderful way our small island, north, south, east and west, has opened its heart to you, our special visitors. 7 years ago, the Bridge of Peace on this island was a structure in the making. Today, more and more people than ever are committed to its construction, more and more peacemakers. I use this occasion to muster the courage, to ask the hesitant to themselves muster the courage, to complete the journey across. And let the bright new landscape of hope please reveal itself.
lessons of forbearance and conciliation, of being able to bow to the past, but not be bound by it.
For the grace of conversion from a patriarchal church to a church of equals, where women truly matter, because only that church is really worthy of Christ, and only such a church can credibly make Christ matter. The time for that church is now, Pope Francis. The time for change is now.
There remains only one serious issue before us, and that is whether Ireland is or is not a genuine republic of equals, capable of accommodating a small and shamefully treated minority by giving gay men and women the right to in secular civil law, to marry those whom they choose to love.
We will no longer put up with those who tell our children that they are less than us. We will no longer put up with a situation where, as we know in many homes this day, a child will be told by a mother that they are living in sin. We will no longer put up with a situation where a child will withdraw into him or herself in fear because of who they are and because of the way God made them. Those days are over.
Believe me, there's nothing worse than watching past pictures of yourself when you were thin and young. But thank you for that. Thank you to all of you, and in particular, thank you to the Taoiseach, who, as we know, has nothing else to do, of course, at the moment, except to come and speak on my behalf at these awards. I hope tonight, Taoiseach, that in the sense of just energy and solidarity from this room, that you know that you have the backing of everyone in this room and that we have your back in every way. My thanks to all of you for this wonderful occasion and for being part of this growing sense of deep, deep solidarity. To be honoured by an award named after a legendary man like Ken Whitaker invites a bit of reflection, I suppose, on what made him so outstanding. Not just the fact that he was born in my village of Rostrevor, that we both have a strong affection, had a strong affection for that beautiful place, but quite simply, what really made Ken outstanding was that in a world dominated by bad ideas, he had good ideas. And more than that, he had phenomenal ideas. Ideas that helped to transform this once impoverished country, whose biggest export was our people, And he transformed that into this successful, ultra-modern, globalized economy that we are so proud of. For most of Ken's early life, and he had a long life and a good life, but for most of his early life, the continent of Europe was a byword for war. It was a byword for a toxic enmity between neighbours, which made it a continent of killing fields, just reflecting as we have over these centenaries and the sheer numbers who died during 2 world wars, brings it home once again what an appalling century it was, certainly for the first 50 years, until there came men like Ken with one of the most outstanding ideas in human history, the idea of the European Union. I think of them tonight too. People like de Gasperi, Monnet, Schuman, Adenauer, because they gave us the chance to belong to this wonderful adventure in democratic partnership between neighbours. And it gave to Ireland a chance to remarkably transform our lives for the better. Also, for a great deal of Ken's life, his own country was mired in an embedded and bitter politico-sectarian war with its own killing fields, fields that perpetually, it seemed, poisoned hope, poisoned trust, a place where mutual goodwill seemed to elude those who inhabited this island together and these neighbouring islands. And yet, from the moment we joined the European Union, there was a quiet miracle being crafted that we were almost unaware of. It was being crafted in and through our membership of the European Union. Since the day we joined in '73, there have been tens, if not hundreds, of thousands of meetings about hundreds of thousands of subjects. Meetings between politicians, civil servants, diplomats, civic society, people from all over the European Union, but in our case particularly, from Ireland and the United Kingdom. We met as partners. We met as equals in the European project, regularly coming into each other's orbit. And in those connections, respect grew, mutual understanding grew, friendship grew. And these relationships, woven together so almost imperceptibly, they became the seed corn that helped to nurture another great idea, which has so transformed relationships on this island and between Ireland and Great Britain, the peace process, which was translated into an international treaty between Ireland and the United Kingdom, the Good Friday Agreement of 1998, overwhelmingly endorsed and backed by huge majorities in Northern Ireland and in Ireland. Peace didn't come immediately, but the integrity of the agreement and the institutions created under it gradually put out fires of distrust, took away or softened the old hatreds, and replaced them with what we now enjoy, a normalized set of neighbourly relationships characterized by an open border, by a rapidly growing political, security, economic, and cultural interaction like we have never known on this island before. I am reminded that on the day that I was inaugurated in 1997, the land border in the European Union with the least trade across it was on this island. That can no longer be said, thanks to you who took the opportunities offered by peace, by progress, and by those institutions. The new conditions created the historic reconciling visit to Ireland by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. With some degree of prescience in her speech in Dublin Castle, she said, The world moves on quickly. The challenges of the past have been replaced by new economic challenges, which will demand the same imagination and courage. She noted when President Higgins made his historic return state visit to Britain in 2014 that we now cooperate across the full range of public business. Indeed, she said, there is today no closer working relationship for my government than that with Ireland. These are precious words. These are precious facts. To be secured, to be safeguarded for. The world has indeed moved on quickly. The United Kingdom's decision in 2016 to leave the European Union was frankly not within our contemplation when the Good Friday Agreement was signed. It has come as a sudden, terrible, and troubling blow, but now we have to make the best of it. And I want to commend the formidable, the relentless work of our government and our civil servants and our civic society organisations. Faced with a situation which has such serious implications for our economy, for our north-south open border, the only way I know when I'm going home to visit my mother in Ken Whittaker's birthplace, Rostrevor, the only way I know I've crossed the border is when Vodafone insists on pinging my phone to tell me. That's the way we want to keep it. That's the only way we want to keep it. That open border and the challenges to our the potential charges to our hard-won peace have presented our government in particular, and Simon in particular, with a huge and unexpected realm of uncertainty. And with commendable clarity from the beginning, they have focused on protecting the promise of the Good Friday Agreement and ensuring that everything we hoped for from that, everything we have worked for, everything we can see in front of us revealing itself from the Good Friday Agreement, that those things will not be unnecessarily compromised or disrupted. We're so grateful for the solidarity from our other 26 European colleagues and the painstaking work of the European Union negotiating teams. They too have been models of clarity in very inchoate times. For these are chaotic and difficult times for our neighbours throughout the United Kingdom. But they're always going to be our neighbours. And we have been energised by the many ways in which our once less than neighbourly relationships have now matured and blossomed into friendships and partnerships, which were undoubtedly helped by the closeness that grew around the European Union table and our shared stewardship of the Northern Ireland peace process. We're going to lose the intimacy now of the Union table. That will be lost to the United Kingdom after Brexit. We will continue to have it, but in a different shape. And we in Ireland in particular, and indeed in the Union in general, we are now going to have to find effective ways and immediate ways of infilling the many gaps and spaces that will now open up and which cannot simply be filled by the institutions of the Good Friday Agreement. Crucially important though they are and will certainly be, they were neither designed for nor stress tested against the uncertainties which will result from Brexit. In this room are people who can build strong new bridges or reinforce the existing bridges they already have between Ireland and our neighbour Britain. Personal bridges, business bridges, corporate bridges, capable of adapting and rapidly to this new situation as it emerges. We need a new and robust web of conduits, north and south, east and west, and we need them right now. for Brexit, whether it is hard, whether it is soft, is almost upon us, and no one is yet in possession of a clear roadmap to the future. But we do know that connections matter. It's vital, therefore, that the business leaders here tonight take all the initiatives they can to support the work of our fellow honoree IBEC in protecting the Good Friday Agreement and the all-island economy, that we get behind our government, we get behind our civil servants, we get behind our European Union negotiators. There is currently no better idea than the ideas they have been able to produce. I want to thank my fellow honorees for the investment that they have made in driving us towards the shared future that we once dared to dream of and are now living as a reality. Through rugby, Joe has given us all, and in particular and importantly, across that north-south axis, across politics and religious divides, he's given us a wealth of phenomenal shared memories, victories against the odds, triumphs in adversity. He has set a bar formidably high for the next generation of rugby players and for us, the spectators. We so expect Ireland to be now incapable of defeat. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. And I'm delighted to see that Brand Ireland continues to be developed so well by non-native Irishmen. St. Patrick started it, and you continue in a great tradition. I was saying I was very relieved actually talking to Joe outside to discover that he had not read Moss Keene's, the late Moss Keene's very brilliant autobiography. Moss never had a bad word to say about anybody, except New Zealand. But I'm hopeful now that from his heavenly home that you have redeemed New Zealand forever in his view. It came, those of you who are rugby aficionados will know that his experience on a particular Lions tour to New Zealand may not have been the happiest. But you've certainly managed to create many happy days, Joe, and thank you for that. I want to come to a day that's already been mentioned actually here tonight, and it's a day that immediately sprang to my mind when I knew that one of my fellow honorees was to be José Manuel. José Manuel Barroso, you will never know, I don't think you could possibly ever know how much one particular hope-filled day that you created in Ireland filled my heart with such glee and such joy. It was miraculous. You've given many miraculous days. You've created many of them, but this one was a particular one. I remember it well. The DUP's Dr. Ian Paisley and Sinn Féin's Martin McGuinness, both of late memory, leaders of two fiercely, remember those days, the Eurosceptic DUP, the Eurosceptic Sinn Féin, old enemies whom pundits said would never, ever, ever work together. And then one bright, unforgettable day, there they were in Stormont, in government together, as First Minister and Deputy First Minister. And remarkably, in overnight conversions, they appealed to the European Union for help in building Northern Ireland's new future. Euroscepticism, it seemed, did not survive the transition to becoming government members. And I remember thinking, when I heard them make that call, how wonderful it would be if the European Union reacted immediately. José Manuel was literally on the next plane. And that told me of a man who really, really understood the moment and how important it was to use that moment. And we watched as the three of you laughed and joked on the steps of Stormont, so at ease in the new world that you were crafting between you. And I thought, to use Her Majesty's quote, how quickly the world moves. And that is our hope, is it not? That though we are mithered with worries, and many of you in business are living with worries that you never wanted to have to face, hoped you would never have to face, but have been bounced into with Brexit and all its uncertainties. We have to hope in the possibility that out of change will come something good if we make it happen, if we use good ideas to transform the life that we experience around us. For change is our element. It is our element. That is one of the great things that T.K. Whittaker taught us. Don't be afraid of good change. Don't be afraid to take down barriers. Don't be afraid to open up to the world. Change is our element. We can be driven by good ideas. Change can be driven by good ideas and by bad. And God knows we have been beneficiaries and victims of both. The chances are that we will continue to be. But Ken Whittaker showed us what happens when we get behind good ideas and good people, people with good values, people with great human decency about them. The baton from those people, the baton from Ken Whittaker, the baton from those who are working and have crafted their lives around our country's future, that baton has been handed now to us. I think of all the emigrants who took the emigrant boat and ended up working on hods in London. Why? Because there was nothing else for them here, but they sent the money home. Week in, week out, they went without to send money back, so that in little quiet acts of generosity, millions and millions of quiet acts of generosity, they would help to build what brings us to this magnificent, wonderful convention centre tonight and allows us to gather in solidarity. So that baton is in our hands now, ours to carry safely to the next chapter in the story of Brand Ireland, Team Ireland, the island of Ireland, a place of communities at peace, working in prosperity, crossing up and down across that border and waiting just for the ping that tells you you've crossed the border. No other visible sign, none needed, because on this island we have opened up to each other and want to stay open to each other. Gura míle maith agaibh.
Mary McAleese, everybody. Thank you, Mary, and congratulations. And congratulations once again to Jose Manuel Barroso and to Joe Smith, our honorees tonight. Okay, I know you haven't had dessert. It is coming. I just want to say at this point, can we all congratulate Ian Hyland and his team at Business and Finance for another really successful awards and a wonderful night. Thank you very much, Ian. Congratulations once again to our award winners, Microsoft, Port West, Tony Smurfett and Kingspan. Well done and congratulations. Continued success to you in 2019. Sean Murphy once again and KPMG, partners with us tonight, and this event would not happen without the support of KPMG and also all of the other partners who support the Business and Finance Awards. So thank you all once again. You can applaud them, I have no problem with you applauding them. From my own point of view, I said to you at the beginning of the night that I'd appreciate if you could keep some hush in the room, and I am so grateful to you all for doing that. I know it was a long night and we heard many speeches, but I am very, very grateful to you for your courtesy over the course of the last number of hours. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you. Good night.